Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey into what might just be the absolute most deceptively named concept in the entire English language. I'm talking about the present simple tense. Now, you might be thinking, come on, I know this. It's literally the very first thing we learn, right? But as we peel back the layers today, you're going to see that this tense is actually this complex, multifunctional tool that native speakers use to literally bend time itself. So, let's get into it and unlock the true power of the present simple, taking it all the way from the everyday basics right down to some pretty advanced secrets.
So here's our game plan for today. Number 1, the everyday foundation. Number 2, the golden grammar rules. Number 3, mastering time and frequency. And number 4, advanced present simple secrets.
Section 1. The everyday foundation. Habits, facts, and permanent states.
At its most basic level, you can think of the present simple as the absolute bedrock of our daily communication. We generally use it for 3 main things. First up, our habits and routines. Think about the things you do every single day without fail, like I drink coffee every morning. Second, we use it for facts and general truths. These are things that are completely undisputed, like the sun rises in the east. And third, we use it for permanent situations. If a state of affairs is going to stay the same for a long, long time, we basically lock it in with this tense, like saying, she lives in New York. It just creates this strong sense of stability and permanence.
Second 2, the golden grammar rules. Mastering the mechanics.
You know, the beauty of English is that, for the most part anyway, forming this tense is actually incredibly easy. For I, you, we, and they, you simply use the base form of the verb. I walk, you walk, they walk. Super simple. But here's the notorious hurdle that trips up so many learners. It's the third person singular. When we talk about he, she, or it, we absolutely must add an S to the end of the verb. Every single time. He walks, she walks, it walks. I know it sounds small, but mastering that little tiny S is a real game changer for sounding truly fluent.
Of course, English spelling is rarely a walk in the park, right? Adding that S isn't always just slapping it on the end. Let's break down the logic here. Rule 1 is our standard. Just add an S, so eats simply becomes eats. Easy enough. But Rule 2 shows us that if a verb already ends in a hissing sound like S, SH, CH, X, or even the letter O, we actually have to add ES just to make it pronounceable. So wash becomes washes, and go becomes goes. And then there's Rule 3, the classic curveball. If a verb ends in a consonant followed by a Y, we actually drop that Y, change it to an I, and then add ES. So a word like study completely transforms into studies.
And this logic brilliantly illustrates exactly what happens when we want to make a sentence negative. Notice the contrast. For I, you, we, they, we simply bring in our helping verb, don't. I don't like mushrooms. Pretty straightforward. But for he, she, it, we use doesn't. And here is the absolutely crucial rule you've got to remember. Once you use doesn't, it absorbs that third person S like a sponge. You have to remove the S from the main verb. So it's, he doesn't play tennis. Never, ever, he doesn't plays tennis. The word doesn't is doing all the heavy lifting for you.
Asking yes/no questions follows a very similar, beautifully logical pattern. You simply take your helping verb, either do or does, and just stick it right at the very beginning of the sentence. Do they like pizza? Does she live here? And just like with those negative sentences, if you use does at the start, the main verb drops the S.
Okay, let's do a quick mental check to really lock this in. I'm going to give you 3 sentences, and you choose the correct form. Ready? Number 1, they read or reads books. Number 2, she don't or doesn't eat meat. And number 3, the dog bark or barks. Take a quick second. All right, let's see how you did. Number 1 is they read. We just need the base form. Number 2 is she doesn't. That's our third person negative. And number 3 is the dog barks, because the dog acts as an it, so it definitely needs that crucial S.
Section 3, mastering time and frequency. Anchoring the present.
To really give our sentences some rich detail, we use adverbs of frequency. We're talking about words like always, usually, often, sometimes, and never. The golden rule for these specific single-word adverbs is their placement. They go directly before the main verb. So if you want to brag about being an early riser, you'd say, I always wake up early. The adverb always is securely locked in right before the action word wake. But notice the stark contrast when we use longer time phrases, things like every day, once a week, or on Mondays. Unlike those single words we just looked at, these longer phrases are almost entirely anchored at the very end of the sentence. You definitely wouldn't say, she once a week visits her grandmother. That sounds super clunky. Instead, you say, she visits her grandmother once a week. The action flows first, and the time phrase grounds the whole thing right at the finish line.
Section 4. Advanced Present Simple Secrets. Breaking the illusion of present time.
All right, now we're getting to the really fun stuff. First up, we absolutely have to talk about stative verbs. These are verbs that describe a state of being, so your thoughts, your deep emotions, or things you possess. They do not describe physical dynamic actions that you can actually sit and watch someone doing. And the big secret here? Even if you are experiencing this thought or feeling right at this exact fleeting second, English grammar completely locks these verbs into the present simple tense. We practically never use them in the continuous or ing form.
Listen to some of these common stative verbs. Know, believe, understand, love, hate, want, need, belong, own, seem. You might want to mentally bookmark these. They govern our internal world, our states of being. Think about it. You literally can't visually watch someone in the act of knowing something or belonging to something. Because they represent unmoving states rather than active motions, they stay firmly in the simple tense.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how this rule highlights a super common mistake. Even if you desperately, urgently require a pen at this exact millisecond, you just cannot say, I am needing a pen right now. Native speakers naturally avoid that entirely. It is always simply, I need a pen right now. The exact same goes for how our minds work. It's totally incorrect to say, she is knowing the answer. The correct, totally natural phrasing is just, she knows the answer.
So the crucial takeaway so far is that the present simple controls absolute states. But what about time? Think about a timeline for a second. Let's say 8 a.m. tomorrow, the train leaves. Monday, the conference starts. Wednesday, the conference finishes. Notice anything weird about that? Tomorrow, Monday, Wednesday, those are all completely in the future, yet we're using the present simple. We actually use this tense to talk about future events when they are part of a fixed schedule, a timetable, or an itinerary. We treat these future events as totally unchangeable facts. They are so confidently carved in stone that we state them as if they are true right now.
And hey, if using the present to control the future wasn't mind-bending enough, we also use it to control the past. We call this the narrative or historical present. When native speakers are summarizing the plot of a book or a movie, or when they're just deeply engrossed in telling a dramatic story or a funny joke, they will spontaneously shift right into the present simple. Why do we do this? Because it strips away all the distance of the past tense. It makes the events feel immediate, visceral, and alive, literally pulling the listener right into the exact moment the action is unfolding.
Honestly, you hear it all the time in casual conversation. Someone recounting a crazy weekend isn't going to say, I walked into the store. No, they'll lean in, kind of lower their voice and say, so I walk into the store, and this guy comes up to me and says, suddenly, you aren't hearing about yesterday anymore, you are standing in the store right next to them. It's wild. You'll also see this trick used constantly in newspaper headlines, like, President signs new bill. The event happened hours ago, but the present simple makes it feel like breaking urgent news.
So, we started today talking about basic daily habits and remembering to add a tiny s to a verb. But as you've seen, the present simple is truly this incredible time-traveling tense. It locks down permanent states, it proudly declares fixed future schedules, and it brings past stories vividly back to life. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the present simple actually controls the past, the present, and the future, what other hidden rules are silently governing the way we communicate every single day? Keep that in mind next time you speak, and definitely keep exploring the fascinating machinery of language. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.